Hey everyone, and welcome to this deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at the work of Odile Fernandez,
Oh, yeah.
who is just fascinating.
She is.
So Odile's an oncologist, but she brings like a whole new perspective to this idea of healthy living and cancer prevention.
Yeah, and I think what makes her so unique is she's not just a doctor.
Right.
She's a cancer survivor herself.
Exactly.
So she's combining like her medical expertise with her personal experience.
And we were lucky enough to get an interview with her
Oh, wow.
where she really opens up about her own journey with cancer and the science behind her approach and even the foundation that she started to help other patients.
I can't wait to dive into all that.
Me too. There's so much to unpack.
Yeah.
But I think it's got to start with her personal story, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, can you imagine
Oh, my gosh.
being an oncologist and diagnosing yourself with stage 4 ovarian cancer?
I can't even...
I know.
Like, what a shock that must have been.
Right. And think about all the things that were going on in her life at that time.
Oh.
Like she was a mom.
Yeah.
She had this demanding career and she was still pursuing more education.
It's just incredible how much she was juggling.
I know. It really makes you realize
Yeah.
that anyone can be affected by cancer.
It doesn't discriminate.
Not at all. But what's so inspiring about Odile's story
Yeah.
is that she didn't just let it, crush her.
Yep.
She went into like full research mode,
Yeah.
using all of her medical knowledge to figure out how could she change her lifestyle to try to improve her outcome.
And it's amazing how she turned this really scary situation into something positive.
Totally. Yeah.
She actually recorded a goodbye video for her son
Oh, my.
because she thought she wouldn't see him grow up.
Oh, my God.
But guess what?
I'm on the edge of my seat.
She's watching him finish high school. That's incredible.
Hey, it is.
What a testament to her resilience.
Talk about a fighter.
I know. So, I mean, it's definitely an emotional story, but it also really sets the stage for...
Her whole message about hope and how much power we have
Yeah.
to take action.
I love that.
Right. So one of the big things that she realized during this time was just how much stress had contributed to her cancer.
And there's a lot of scientific evidence to support that link.
Right.
When we're constantly stressed, our bodies pump out cortisol, which is a stress hormone.
Yeah.
And cortisol leads to inflammation, and chronic inflammation is linked to so many diseases, not just cancer.
It makes you think about like our modern lifestyle, right?
Absolutely.
Like, are we just making ourselves sick?
That's a good question.
I mean, think about it. Back in the day, stress was usually short-lived,
Right.
like running from a predator.
Exactly. It was like run away from the tiger and then you're good.
Right.
But now it's like emails and deadlines and information overload.
It never stops.
It never ends.
Yeah.
So it's no wonder that we're seeing this huge increase in chronic diseases.
And that's why Odile is such a huge advocate for managing stress.
Yeah. She practices mindfulness, meditation, and really emphasizes slowing down.
Just taking a pause.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And you know what I also really appreciate about her approach
Right.
is that
What's that?
she promotes making small changes that you can actually stick with.
It's so important.
I know I get so overwhelmed when I try to change everything at once.
Me too.
It just feels impossible.
Yeah, where do you even begin?
I know. So this idea of starting small and building momentum,
Yeah,
I think that's key.
I think so too.
So let's talk about some of those small changes that Odile recommends.
Okay.
So first off, she says to eliminate the obvious culprits, right?
Like what?
Like smoking, excessive alcohol,
Okay.
sugar, processed foods,
Makes sense?
low-quality oils, just like stuff we already know is bad for us.
Yeah, it's a good reminder to clean up your act.
Right. And it's not just about saying it. Odile actually lives this way.
Oh, wow.
She even quit working night shifts to get better sleep and reduce her stress.
That's commitment.
That's walking the walk, right?
Absolutely.
So it's not just about what we stop doing.
Right.
It's also about what healthy habits we add.
Like what?
Well, Odile is a big fan of movement and exercise,
Okay.
especially strength training,
Interesting.
at least 3 times a week,
Okay.
combined with some cardio.
Got it.
And she has this fascinating insight about how muscle actually competes with cancer cells for energy.
Oh, wow. Tell me more about that.
So basically, the more muscle you build,
Uh-huh.
the less fuel the cancer has to grow.
So lifting weights could actually help starve the cancer.
It's kind of wild, right?
It is.
I never thought of it that way.
That's amazing.
And of course, we need some sunshine for that natural vitamin D production.
Yeah, but moderation and safe sun practices are key.
Of course, always.
Yeah.
It's all about balance.
Absolutely.
And then there's continuing with the stress reduction, right?
Right.
Finding what works for you.
Whatever helps you manage those stress levels.
Whether it's meditation or breathing exercises,
Yeah.
spending time in nature.
That always helps.
It does, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about ditching the bad habits, adding the good ones.
Yeah.
Now let's get to the food.
Okay, I'm ready.
What does Odile recommend we put on our plates?
Well, she's all about real food from nature.
Okay.
Mainly plants. It's very much aligned with traditional Mediterranean diets.
So like lots of colorful, delicious dishes full of flavor.
Exactly.
She especially recommends adding herbs and spices for their anti-inflammatory benefits.
Which is great, because who doesn't love flavor?
Right. And it helps us cut back on salt.
Yeah, which can be harmful.
And, you know, she really has this love for those Mediterranean flavors.
I can tell.
Cruciferous veggies are also big on her list.
Okay.
So broccoli, cauliflower, all that good stuff.
Got it.
And berries.
Berries are the best.
Especially berries.
Yeah.
And then there's garlic and onions.
I love those.
Did you know that just 1 clove of garlic daily could potentially lower your risk of prostate cancer by up to 10%? And if you have 4 cloves, studies suggest it could be as high as 50%.
Pass the garlic red.
Right.
Seriously.
And don't forget about legumes.
Oh, yeah. They're so good for you.
They're so nutrient rich.
Yeah.
But Odile emphasizes using traditional methods like soaking them
Okay.
to reduce those anti-nutrients.
Soaking them. It's like our grandmothers were onto something.
They really were.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about protein?
Oh, okay.
Where does that fit into Odile's plan?
Well, she actually has a hierarchy of protein sources, starting with eggs.
Interesting.
She considers them ideal because they're the most similar to human breast milk in terms of their protein composition.
Okay.
Then it's small, oily fish like anchovies and sardines.
Okay.
The best way to eat them is cooked or prepared in traditional ways, like vinegar-cured anchovies.
Those grandmothers knew what they were doing.
They did.
What about other types of meat?
Well, after fish, it's lean meats like poultry and rabbit.
Okay.
Then comes red meat, limited to twice a week. And finally, processed meats, which she recommends minimizing as much as possible.
That makes sense. But it's not just what we eat, right?
Right.
Odile also talks a lot about balancing our macronutrients.
Okay.
And understanding insulin spikes is a big part of that.
Yeah, so insulin is a hormone that regulates blood sugar.
Right.
When we eat carbs, especially refined carbs, our blood sugar spikes,
Yeah.
which triggers a surge of insulin.
Uh-huh.
And if this happens too often, it can lead to problems.
Like weight gain,
Yeah.
inflammation,
Yeah.
increased risk of chronic
Well,
diseases.
it's not about cutting out carbs altogether,
Right.
but being smarter about how we eat them.
Exactly.
So Odile suggests a few simple strategies.
Okay, like what?
Well, first, combine your carbs with healthy fats and protein.
Okay.
This slows down digestion and reduces that big insulin spike.
Got it.
Choosing whole grains over refined grains also helps.
And here's a cool tip I learned.
What's that?
If you cool down cooked starches like pasta and potatoes, it creates something called resistant starch.
Resistant starch.
Yeah.
What's that?
So resistant starch has a much gentler impact on blood sugar.
Oh, interesting.
And it's actually good for your gut microbiome.
Oh.
It's amazing how, like, a simple change like that, it can make such a difference.
It really is.
And it's not just what we eat, but also the order in which we eat it.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right.
Tell me more.
So Odile uses this great analogy to explain how different foods are absorbed in the gut.
Okay.
Okay, so imagine fiber as a mesh.
Okay.
Slows down everything else.
I can picture that.
Right. Then fat and protein are like a thick, viscous mass
Okay.
that further impedes the flow.
Uh-huh.
Starches are a little less viscous.
Okay.
And sugar is like clear liquid that passes through quickly.
Wow, I can really picture that.
So what's the takeaway?
What should we do?
Start your meals with fiber-rich vegetables
Okay.
to create that mesh.
Yeah.
Then have your fat and protein, followed by starches,
Okay.
and save any sugary treats or fruits for last.
So basically how a traditional Mediterranean meal is structured.
Exactly. They were on to something.
They knew what they were doing.
And speaking of the gut, we can't forget about the importance of the microbiome.
Oh, the microbiome's so important.
Right. It's like this whole ecosystem living inside of us.
It's incredible.
And Odile emphasizes that a fiber-rich diet is crucial for feeding those good bacteria in our gut.
Yeah.
And she also recommends fermented foods.
Okay.
Things like traditionally prepared olives, yogurt, kefir.
Yeah.
They're all great for the microbiome.
It's all about nourishing those good guys.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And finally, we come to something that Odile considers absolutely fundamental.
What's that?
Sleep.
Oh, sleep is so important.
It's so true.
Yeah.
But so many of us sacrifice sleep for work or late nights.
Scrolling on our phones.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Odell makes this really powerful point.
What's that?
Sleep isn't a luxury.
Uh-huh.
It's essential for our health.
It's like hitting the reset button for our bodies.
It really is.
Yeah.
And remember how we talked about melatonin?
Oh, yeah.
It's not just about making us sleepy.
Right.
It's a powerful antioxidant.
Mm-hmm.
Helps repair DNA damage.
Wow.
Even influences how we age.
It's amazing.
It's all connected, right?
It is.
That's why Odile is such a big advocate for respecting our natural sleep-wake cycles.
So what does she recommend?
Well, she recommends things like getting plenty of sunlight during the day,
Okay.
disconnecting from screens at night,
Yeah.
creating a calm sleep environment,
Mm-hmm.
and avoiding relying on sleep medications.
It's about working with our bodies, not against them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how Odile's experience as a family physician within the public healthcare system
Yeah.
really shaped her perspective on these things.
How so?
Well, I remember her talking about the immense pressure that doctors face.
Oh, yeah.
She used to see something like 80 patients a day at one point.
That's mind-boggling.
I know. I can't even imagine
Yeah.
how anyone can provide quality care under those conditions.
It sounds like a system that's more focused on putting Band-Aids on problems rather than addressing the root causes.
Yeah, exactly. And Odell really believes that we need a much stronger emphasis on preventative medicine,
Makes sense.
empowering people to take control of their health before they develop chronic diseases.
I love that.
But it requires a shift in mindset, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Both from healthcare providers and patients.
Yeah, and it requires a healthcare system that supports that shift.
Total.
Odell feels very strongly that primary care physicians need more time with their patients,
Yeah.
more resources, and greater autonomy to make informed decisions.
It's a call for a more holistic and patient-centered approach to healthcare.
Absolutely.
And it all ties back to her personal philosophy of taking a proactive approach to our health and well-being.
I love that.
And speaking of being proactive, I find it fascinating how Odell applies her principles to parenting.
Oh, tell me about that.
Well, for example, instead of forbidding sugary drinks and processed foods, she just doesn't buy them.
That's so smart.
It's about creating a healthy environment from the start.
Yeah, and it's a much gentler approach than constantly saying no.
Right.
Yeah.
She also encourages her children to try a wide variety of foods,
Okay.
expanding their palates and fostering a love for real whole foods.
It's about setting the foundation for a lifetime of healthy eating habits.
Exactly. And it's not just about food.
What else?
She also encourages them to be active, to move their bodies, even to do some strength training.
It's about making those healthy habits a natural part of their lives, not a chore.
Exactly. And remember how Odile talked about the importance of learning to say no?
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Well, that's something she actively teaches her children as well.
Wow, that's such a valuable life skill for everyone.
For everyone, not just kids.
Yeah.
It's about setting boundaries, respecting your own needs, and not getting caught in the trap of people-pleasing.
It's about living a life that's true to yourself.
And, it's so inspiring to see Odile embodying these principles in her own life
Yeah.
and passing them on to her children.
She's a great role model.
She really is.
Yeah.
As we're sort of delving deeper into her story and her work,
Mm-hmm.
one thing that really shines through is her unwavering optimism.
Yes. Even when she was facing a cancer diagnosis, she chose hope and action over despair.
It's a testament to her strength and resilience, right?
Absolutely.
She didn't just accept her fate.
Yeah.
She questioned it, she researched it, and ultimately she changed it.
That's powerful.
And that's the message that she wants to share with the world.
I love that.
We all have more power than we realize to shape our health and well-being.
And Odile is so passionate about sharing that knowledge.
She is.
She doesn't just talk the talk, she walks the walk.
Yeah.
And she inspires others to do the same.
It's contagious.
It really is.
That passion for living a healthier and more fulfilling life.
Yeah.
And it comes through in everything she does.
Yeah. From her writing to her work with Foundation Guapo.
Speaking of writing,
Yes.
she mentioned that she finds it incredibly therapeutic
Oh, wow.
and even hinted at another book in the works.
Ooh, I'm so curious to see what she shares next.
Me too. I have a feeling it'll be filled with those same insightful observations and practical tips that we've come to expect from her.
And she's not slowing down anytime soon.
No.
Her focus remains on expanding the reach of Foundation Guapo and supporting as many cancer patients as possible.
What an amazing legacy. To create something that empowers and uplifts others who are facing such a difficult challenge.
I agree. It's truly inspiring.
And I think it speaks to the power of turning personal experience into a force for good in the world.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that even small actions can have a ripple effect.
So true. Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive into the work of Odile Fernandez, but there's still so much more to explore.
I know. I'm excited to keep going.
Me too. So stay tuned for part 2, where we'll be taking a closer look at Odile's foundation and the amazing work they're doing to support cancer patients.
I can't wait. All right, so as promised, let's talk about what Odile is doing now to help others going through what she experienced.
Okay.
Remember how she talked about taking action? Well, she founded this amazing organization called Foundation Guapo.
Foundation Guapo. I love that name.
It's such a great name.
It sounds so full of life.
It is. It's all about shifting the focus from fear and worry to hope and action.
I love that.
They provide free integrative oncology support for cancer patients.
Wow.
Which means they go beyond just traditional medical treatments.
So what kind of support do they offer?
We're talking exercise, nutrition guidance, psychological support, even group activities like hiking.
That's incredible. It sounds like they really address the whole person, not just the disease.
Exactly.
I bet that makes a huge difference for patients.
Absolutely. And they're really putting those scientific insights into practice.
Like how?
Well, for example, they have this innovative approach to strength training. Based on the idea that muscle competes with cancer cells for energy.
So it's like they're giving patients the tools to fight back on a cellular level.
That's a great way to put it.
I love that.
And they offer workshops on yoga and meditation, too.
Oh, nice.
Recognizing how important it is to manage stress.
Yeah.
And find some inner peace during such a difficult time.
It's a truly holistic approach. And you can tell it all comes from Odile's personal experience.
Absolutely.
And her belief in the power of lifestyle changes to complement those traditional cancer treatments.
You know, speaking of which, there's one thing that Odile is particularly passionate about, and that's vitamin D.
Oh, yeah, she talked about that.
You wouldn't believe how many people are deficient.
I know. She mentioned something like 80% of the Spanish population is deficient.
That's a huge number.
That's crazy.
And it's probably similar in other parts of the world.
Yeah, especially with our modern lifestyles.
Right. We spend so much time indoors, slather on sunscreen, and rely on artificial light.
We're practically avoiding the sun.
I know.
But as Odile pointed out, we need sunlight to produce vitamin D.
Yeah.
Which is crucial for so many things.
It really is.
She's not advocating for excessive sun exposure, of course.
No, of course not.
But sensible sun exposure.
Yeah, just finding that balance.
Exactly.
And if you're concerned about a deficiency, it's always best to talk to your doctor about getting your levels checked.
Yeah, good advice.
They can advise on whether you might need a supplement.
Okay. It's amazing how much we take the sun for granted.
I know, right?
And speaking of things we take for granted, Odile also brought up something else that really resonated with me.
What's that?
The importance of sleep.
Oh, sleep, yeah.
We sacrifice sleep for everything.
Work, social media, Netflix.
We wear our lack of sleep like a badge of honor.
It's true.
But Odile makes this really powerful point.
Uh-huh.
Sleep isn't a luxury. It's essential for our health.
It's when our bodies repair and rejuvenate.
It's like hitting that reset button every night.
And remember our discussion about melatonin.
Yeah.
It's not just about feeling sleepy.
Right.
It's a powerful antioxidant, helps with DNA repair, and even influences how we age.
It's amazing how it's all connected.
It really is.
That's why Odile is such a big advocate for respecting our natural circadian rhythms.
Makes sense.
She recommends things like getting plenty of sunlight during the day.
Okay.
Disconnecting from screens at night.
Yeah.
Creating a calm sleep environment and avoiding relying on sleep medications.
It's about working with our bodies, not against them.
You know, it's interesting how Odile's experience as a family physician within the public healthcare system really shaped her perspective on these things.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Well, I remember her talking about the immense pressure that doctors face.
Yeah.
She used to see something like 80 patients a day at one point.
80 patients a day.
I know.
That's unbelievable.
I can't even imagine how anyone can provide quality care under those conditions.
It sounds like a system that's more focused on putting Band-Aids on problems rather than addressing the root causes.
Exactly. And Odile believes that we need a much stronger emphasis on preventative medicine.
I agree.
Empowering people to take control of their health before they develop chronic diseases.
It makes so much sense.
But it requires a shift in mindset, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Both from healthcare providers and patients.
Yeah, and it requires a healthcare system that supports that shift.
Totally.
Odile feels strongly that primary care physicians need more time with their patients,
Yeah.
more resources, and greater autonomy to make informed decisions.
It's a call for a more holistic and patient-centered approach to healthcare.
Absolutely.
And it all ties back to her personal philosophy of taking a proactive approach to our health and well-being.
I think that's so important.
Speaking of being proactive, I find it fascinating how Odile applies her principles to parenting.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, for example, instead of forbidding sugary drinks and processed foods, she just doesn't buy them.
That's a great idea.
It's about creating a healthy environment from the start.
Yeah, and it's a much more positive approach than constantly saying no.
Right.
Yeah.
She also encourages her children to try a wide variety of foods,
Okay.
expanding their palates,
Yeah.
and fostering a love for real, whole foods.
It's about setting the foundation for a lifetime of healthy eating habits.
Exactly. And it's not just about food.
What else does she do?
She also encourages them to be active, to move their bodies, even to do some strength training.
It's about making those healthy habits a natural part of their lives, not a chore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And remember how Odile talked about the importance of learning to say no?
Oh, yeah, that's huge.
Well, that's something she actively teaches her children as well.
Wow, that's such a valuable life skill.
For everyone, not just kids.
Absolutely.
It's about setting boundaries, respecting your own needs, and not getting caught in the trap of people-pleasing.
It's about living a life that's true to yourself.
And it's inspiring to see Odile embodying these principles in her own life and passing them on to her children.
She's a great role model.
You know, as we delve deeper into her story and her work, one thing that really shines through is her unwavering optimism.
Yeah, even when she was facing a cancer diagnosis, she chose hope and action over despair.
It's a testament to her strength and resilience.
Absolutely.
She didn't just accept her fate. She questioned it, researched it, and ultimately changed it.
And that's the message she wants to share with the world.
We all have more power than we realize to shape our health and well-being.
And she's so passionate about sharing that knowledge.
You know, she doesn't just talk the talk. She walks the walk, and she inspires others to do the same.
It's contagious.
It really is that passion for living a healthier and more fulfilling life.
And it comes through in everything she does, from her writing to her work with Foundation Guapo.
Speaking of writing, she mentioned that she finds it incredibly therapeutic,
Oh, wow.
and even hinted at another book in the works.
Ooh, I can't wait to read that.
Me too.
Yeah.
I have a feeling it'll be filled with those same insightful observations and practical tips that we've come to expect from her.
And she's not slowing down anytime soon.
Oh.
Her focus remains on expanding the reach of Foundation Guapo and supporting as many cancer patients as possible.
What an amazing legacy.
Yes.
To create something that empowers and uplifts others who are facing such a difficult challenge.
I agree. It's truly inspiring.
And I think it speaks to the power of turning personal experience into a force for good in the world.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that even small actions can have a ripple effect.
One person can make such a difference.
It really is amazing.
And it all comes back to that idea of taking action.
Yeah, that's something Odile emphasizes throughout her work.
Right. She's a firm believer that
We're not just passive bystanders in our own health journey.
we have choices to make
Habits to cultivate.
and a responsibility to advocate for ourselves.
Absolutely. And, that can feel really empowering, especially when dealing with something as serious as cancer.
For sure.
It's not about denying fear or minimizing the challenges, but about shifting the focus towards what we can control.
I like.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of Odile Fernandez,
Yeah.
what stands out to you the most?
You know, for me, it's her unique blend of personal experience and scientific knowledge.
Yeah,
She doesn't just preach from a textbook.
right.
She speaks from the heart, and that makes her message so much more powerful and relatable.
I totally agree. And she makes these complex concepts accessible to everyone.
Yeah.
It's not about complicated diets or expensive supplements. It's
Right.
about those simple things we often overlook.
Like getting enough sleep, moving our bodies, eating real food,
Managing stress.
enjoying some sunshine.
Those are the fundamentals of health.
And those fundamentals can make such a world of difference.
Absolutely, especially in our busy modern world.
It's a great reminder to not overcomplicate things
Sometimes the most profound changes come from going back to basics.
and rediscovering the wisdom of our bodies.
Well said.
So as we leave this deep dive, I'm curious, which small change will you try first? What really resonated with you from Odile's key learnings?
We encourage you to explore Odile's work further.
Yeah?
Check out her books, learn more about Foundation Guapo, or simply take some time to reflect on the insights that stood out to you today.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Odell Fernandez.
It was a pleasure.
We hope you feel inspired and empowered to take charge of your own health journey.